Greetings, everyone. This is Sourcaps, and welcome back to Monopoly Man edition of Rimworld. In the last episode, we got attacked by rabbits, so we're quickly mining up some steel to replace that trap. We also started talking about our plans for the base and digging out some more mountain to see the shape of it. And we basically just talked about our research path, which is going to be keeping some tribal stuff going so I can play around with stuff that I don't normally do. One thing I wanted to talk about that I haven't is the no research mod. Allows for some pretty interesting setups like this one, where I have a guy who's just skilled in social and doesn't know anything about any research, but I could also do stuff like make a gunsmith who doesn't do anything except making guns and trading, or a blacksmith, which would force me to play around with melee weapons that I don't normally do. So I might do some runs like that, but we're also scoping out this mountain, digging away what I know to be safe, and still sort of debating on if I want to just chop through most of that section off to the right and extend the wall, or excuse me, I got hiccups. If I want to push back. As you probably noticed, because I'm not synced up with anything I'm spinning around the mouse, this is another episode that's being done post-audio. This will be the final one, hopefully for ever, but we'll see. I'll probably forget to hit record the audio at some point. In the future series, I'm probably going to not use commit anytime mode, just to avoid stuff like this, because, well, this has been an interesting experience, and I've at least found a program that's made it more bearable. Editing is still a pain. Aiden finally heals up from her rabbit bites without getting an infection, but her mood does go south because she's in pain, and just it's not a pretty environment, so that's why we worked on smoothing up her walls at least a little bit, make them less ugly. Need to smooth up her floor more, though. But since we harvested, before that yak beef gets used up, I want to make some kibble. The only way I can use the milk to make kibble, by the way, I'm going to have to forbid it, basically, so we can get 2 milkings, because you need 20 units. But the milk also doesn't count as raw food, so I kind of like letting them have it. Helps their mood a little bit. Aiden's basically worthless for the next little bit because she's just wandering around in the daze, and we're digging. And we should... I'm pretty sure I pause here. Yep, there we go. Pause to see if anything else happens. All that happens is she gets over her daze. She goes to sleep. Cow's still working, doing business, doing cow stuff. Demetri goes back to mining. But I didn't want you to think you missed anything. So... potato plants are ready to harvest. Once Aiden wakes up from her daze, or she wakes up, she'll start to do that so she can eat. We make her do it. And this is when she gets muscle parasites that I thought she had a lot earlier. And we let her use the medicine to get over it as quickly as possible, because they work like gut worms, where you have to have a certain total 10 percentage. You look at Jamie the mute who falls down. Tortured artist is something I don't want to deal with already when having to eat kibble. Cloth shirt, not even really worth stripping. But I think we do make a plan to rescue her just for the faction bonus, if nothing else. Or we think about it, but then she's got a couple hours left to live anyway. But I think she's the one who gets up on her own. Somebody gets up. Either way, more mining to be done. We found another section of overhead mountain, but it's sort of separate from that one. So I kind of want to see the shape of both, so I start to dig between them. I changed my mind. I think I should flip-flop around, but I do decide, if not now, but at some point in the future, to dig it out and see what it goes. This is where I talk about, hey, why don't I could extend the walls to here and then encapsulate all that and dig it all out. I could not do it. Yep. I cancel it for now. I'll talk. I mean, I don't talk. I do talk about it a bit, but you won't ever hear it. And then I decided to see the shape of the mountain after all. Make the decision later. Just because, yep, it looks like these are going to connect through, or it's going to connect through. And I'll need the bigger space eventually, so the current plan is to mine out more down below, pushing towards that vein of steel and that other compacted machinery. We pause. Psychic Soothe pops up, and I decided to get more steel because that's what I remember Aiden can craft. So that was the only interesting. That's why I unpaused, really, because Psychic Soothe isn't interesting. But I want the steel so I can make a hand tailor bench and finally get those get that thrumbo fur used up. Because Aiden's got a pretty high crafting skill, we might as well put it to work. All that first. And the first order of business is to get a duster, so that way Aiden has a jacket, because she doesn't have a top. Or a top. She doesn't have an outer layer yet. Dusters are good, especially are good armor. They're also good heat insulation. And while she's basically sick and on bed rest anyway, might as well get her to use a little bit. Her moving is super slow because the sensory mechanites slow it down, but also the muscle parasites. But her manipulation's not too terrible. I mean, it's not great. But we can at least get some of the work done. Well, we're waiting for her to tend anyway. And yet, the overhead mountain ends up being that weird little blob. I do build a section of blueprint. And we decide basically we're going to encapsulate it. I don't think I've laid out the plan for it now, but I'm going to use that set of mountain up in the left to sort of use a wall delimitation and be like, alright, we'll put some storage. Oh, maybe I'm going to plan it. I start mapping out ideas for bedrooms. Basically my plan is put some bedrooms over there, put storage sort of behind it and to the left, and then a small little work area. Yeah, I start being like, I can put bedrooms here. If I haven't updated these plans, I will later, because now looking back at it, it'll be a couple of bedrooms here, a couple of bedrooms in the white area. Make that a little workspace. Because it doesn't need to be big. It just needs to have some tables. And I still haven't figured out where I'm going to put research. Especially high-tech research that I'm going to need eventually. My current thoughts are, right now, put them in the garden so they stay outside, get some light still. Yeah, probably right up there. Because I also debated putting a crafting spot up there. But it would make sense to do crafting and store it, like storage in that area, and crafting up there. So, it hasn't been finalized as I'm talking about it now, because I keep changing it out. But I am going to finalize that. That's going to be my plan. So right now I've only got 2 bedrooms. I'm sure eventually I'll get more people, but I can just dig out more mountain. Or just assume more control of that desert. I forgot she was prioritized, and that takes forever, especially with her current crafting. So I just double check her priorities so that way she'll work on it when she can without going insane and starving. And because she's already in pretty bad shape, I'll let her finish up the milk before Dimitri. Oh, nope, I had lied. I was going to let Dimitri do it, or let her have it, but Dimitri does instead. But she at least gets her tend on. And then she can eat some potatoes. It's really sad seeing her move so slowly. It's just the muscle parasites and the sensory mechanites are kicking her butt. The scar is slowing her down a lot too. So it'd be nice to get her some better legs. I'll have to see if I can do some stuff to boost her immunity too, because there's a lot of cool bionic features now. Some of which I'm familiar with, most of which I'm not. Hey, free milk. Haul that, Dimitri. You got your recreation in. Really want her to finish her duster so that way she doesn't have to deal with the heat as much. But yeah, her mechanites, her just combo diseases are kicking her butt terribly. I find a third section of overhead mountain, and that's sort of why I decided, alright, I'm going to stop this for now. But what I think I'm going to do in the future is that rightmost bedroom, I might shrink those bedroom sizes at least by 1 square. That one section of overhead mountain in the fridge is going to drive me crazy until I decide a plan. I still don't know if I want to shrink it up 1, or if I want to do a separate... Ooh, that's a thought. I think I'll dig it out more. And then I might put the medical room up there, like turn that freezer into part medical storage, because I like having a separate medicine storage. Eventually I'm going to have to dig out those components too. That looks like another big meaty chunk. We have a shaman merchant appear shortly after I pause. And I'm still talking about this over here. I think I'm done digging south for now. Depending on how that digging out, when I dig out the rest of that storeroom, I might dig further into it. Like into the mountain more. But now that I'm looking back and thinking on it, I'm probably going to turn part of that freezer into medical storage. And then on the back side, make you walk through the freezer to get to the hospital. Sounds weird, but it shouldn't be often used. Yeah, she's just in a shit ton of pain. And in fact, she's having another mental break from it. Despite psychic smooth. There's some silver I still need to mine out in the future, because I don't have a lot of money on me. But I'm not super expecting the shaman merchant to have anything I want. Selling my plasteel. Buy more pemmican. The rhinos are cool, but I don't nearly have the handling skill for that. And they won't eat corpses anyway. Smoke leaf is tempting for another thing to do, but I don't like the manipulation loss and other stuff going on while especially while Aiden's already in really bad shape. It wouldn't take much to knock her out. But I'm definitely going to buy all the herbal medicine they have. Yeah, I really debate the smoke leaf for a little bit. Still kind of pissed they won't buy Thrumbohorn. But mostly we're just working on most of this episode is focused on getting that Thrumbo fur used up in a duster. Buy all the pemmican I can, have Dimitri immediately start hauling it. He'll take it, he'll haul it, then he'll haul it. Aiden snaps out of her break, so we have her haul the medicine. Dimitri, just haul it, get it indoors. Oh, she's gonna eat it. If nothing else, the pemmican helps our moods a little bit. Especially with everything going on. Clean up a little bit. That stockpile zone is chunks. And then I decide to unsuspend that bill, let her haul in that one stone chunk. Because she's almost done with this. Dimitri should haul it in before too long. And she can craft out of it. Oh no, she'll just craft out of it one at a time. I thought I said it to haul, but I did not. I look at the bedroom and I don't know, one thing that bothers me about Rimworld, and I know it's because it's a game, but I've never once looked at my room and been like, man, my room is so beautiful, but that one speck of dust ruins the whole thing. That one smear of dust on the wall. Another transport pod crashed because they really want me to have a third person, but it's from my enemies. Teetotaler and Tough are pretty nice. The animal and crafting, it's kind of cool, but basically this person is just a lesser version of Aiden, because they can't do social. Their medical skill's not great. Aiden's got passions in crafting and animals, so she'll get there. And she's just a much better shooter, much better doctor. And she's also kind. So, I don't know, Teetotaler's nice because you don't have to worry about drugs. Tough's nice because he'd just deal with stuff better. But I can't take care of a third mouth super well. But that parka's worth some stuff. So, gonna capture it to move him closer because he's not too far away to bleed to death. Just really quickly set up a prison spot. Or a sleeping spot to be a prison. But mostly so we can just move them closer and sell some shit. I'll tell you now, my plan is not to get a third colonist or deal with a prisoner. Feeding a prisoner kibble, not something I want to deal with. Capture David. And I'm trying to be mindful of David gets up and I was like, oh crap, really? Then he falls back down from his injury. So capture David. And now he's got 5 hours to live. And that's going to be the fun part, is being mindful of how long he has to live. And how long it takes to haul him out there. He's got 5 hours. He's got 4 hours. It only takes about an hour, maybe an hour and a half to get out there. So we should be able to get him back to the base and stripped before he dies. Because I don't want to deal with tainted apparel. Dimitri, get there. Stop. Strip him instead. And then haul that shit. And I think the merchant's still here, so leave him to die. Really quickly allow human corpses, fresh ones, because I'd like to be him partially out of sight. And I think what I end up doing is I turn off the corpses here. I want a different stockpile zone where I don't have to deal with them, and it's just trying to think of where do I want to put it. So, for now, I'm going to build another couple of graveyards and just dig it, but I might put corpses out there in the future. It's just, I don't like that because it's somewhat, like, we take the back exit more often than the front exit. I don't want them up there because of all the blood, because that's where we have caravans and everything else. Don't want it over there because it's too close to our front door where we have the traps and the walking. I don't know what this radius is about. This is new in 1.3. I have no idea why there are green lines and a radius for the graveyard. I was joking about, like, is that the zombie radius? But I'm guessing where it's just close to other ones to be considered a graveyard. Maybe it boosts working at the graveyard. I don't know. Then I notice he starts to, well, maybe I don't notice it immediately, but I was like, who's he burying? Peterson? Sheriff, why isn't he going after David? So I was like, wait, you're going after that rotting corpse. Don't touch it. Yeah, bury David. I forgot to forbid it. That one was forbidden from earlier. That was the wild man. And then look, it's like, yep, he saw 2 rotting corpses. My bad. Finally, Aiden finishes her duster. She hasn't put it on yet, but she's also just not feeling good, so I was making sure she wasn't forbidden from wearing it. New quest is available for a paid volcanic winter. We get a power claw, which could be cool. It would help give Dimitri a mind boost instead of a mind or a buff, but it also slows down his movement. I don't know how much. I have to look into it. I've got a couple days to decide, because the problem with the volcanic winter is we've got the food. I don't know if we have 16 days worth of food though, and our plants will die. And the power claw, he's not exactly a melee fighter anyway, but it would help. He's a transhumanist, so that would help his modification. And I don't know if that -8 penalty is like -8 for whichever arm you put it on, or is it -16? Does it stack? The power claw is tempting though. The advanced components are nice too. I talk about that because you do need 2 advanced components to build a fabrication bench, which is needed to make advanced components. So it's a little interesting. But we'll have plenty of opportunity for that in the future, and we're nowhere near that. So if I was going to do it, it's going to be for this power claw. I just don't know enough about how this works. Because I also see the armor penetration here twice, but is that like, oh, if it depends on which arm it's on? But it would... Oh, he's been rebuffed by Aiden. I didn't catch that. He's trying to get his flirt on. Remember to clean up that hospital zone. Real quickly wake Aiden up. Oh, he put on the duster, which meant it must... This is where I start to look at its stats. It's like, wait, is the duster better? It must have been better armor, so we'll make a second one. But now I'm curious. So I'll go look at its stats. And I actually, real quickly, make a screenshot of it so I can compare it off to the side. Because 4692, it's not easy for me to remember quickly. I forget how to do this because sometimes I'm dumb. And it's like, yep, that is just way better in every regard. That's just how good Thrumbofur is. It's way better heat, slightly better blunt, way better sharp. And then I've got then I can keep the flak jacket for if I get a third person. It's definitely worth making the duster out of Thrumbofur again because I've got the materials. And it just looks fancy. A little more like Colonel Sanders and the Monopoly Man. But hey, that's what we're going to do. And it's about time for me to call it an episode. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for putting up with this post-edit. Take it easy until next time.